The desert had teeth. It bit deep into boots and burned through skin like hellfire on Sunday. The winds carried memories of old battles and dried-up dreams. And yet, despite the deadly heat, the dust, and the whispers of madness carried on the wind, someone always came west. Always looking for something they thought they lost or something they never had. Caleb Langston wasn't looking for either. He just needed to disappear. A former outlaw turned bounty hunter turned ghost, Caleb wandered into the husk of a town called Salt Creek's End, tucked near the jagged edges of the El Cielo Badlands. It was the kind of place where no one asked questions, and no one remembered your name unless you made them bleed. He dismounted his tired gelding and tipped his hat to the silence. The saloon doors creaked like dying wood spirits as he pushed through, and inside, a handful of souls sat nursing whiskey and regret. That's when he saw her. She sat alone at a corner table, her right leg wrapped in a rough leather brace, her eyes like broken glass that once held fire. Her face was shadowed beneath the brim of a weather-beaten hat. She wasn't drinking. She was watching. Like a hawk who'd had its wings clipped but hadn't forgotten how to kill. Caleb nodded at her once. She didn't nod back. Chapter 2. The Ship Beneath the Sand. 2 days later, Caleb rode out alone past the copper mesas, trailing a rumor he'd overheard from a drunk prospector, a piece of sky metal buried out where the earth forgets its name. That kind of talk usually meant a lost Confederate steam wagon or a Union ironclad left to rust. But what he found was older. Stranger. Half buried in a sand-choked ravine, just past the bones of an old riverbed, was something shaped like a whale and colored like a forgotten star. Black metal. Seamless. Cracked, but not rusted. No steam vents. No bolts. As he approached, the ship hummed. A slit opened with a hiss of ancient air. A soft, feminine voice filled the stillness. "Good to serve you again, Admiral. 500 years later." Caleb blinked. What the hell? A ramp extended. The interior lit up in pale blue light, like something from a dream or a fever. And standing in the opening was the last person he expected. The woman from the saloon. Chapter 3. Her name was Alara. "I followed you," she said simply. She wore the same clothes but had a satchel across her back and a revolver holstered low. Her limp was worse now, but her posture was defiant. "Proud. This your ship?" Caleb asked. "No, but it knows me." They stood in silence, the hum of the ship wrapping around them like a question that had no words. She walked forward, touched the side of the craft. "My name's Alara Morn. My grandfather was one of the scientists from the Ark project. He told me stories before he died about buried skyships left behind when the world burned." Caleb frowned. "You believe all that?" "I didn't. Until now." Chapter 4. Ghosts of the Old World. Inside the ship, time hung differently. The air was cool, unaged. Touch panels lit beneath their fingers, revealing maps of constellations long forgotten and logs written in languages that no longer existed. They found records of planetary exodus, of cataclysms and wars, civilizations that fell while Earth dried to a husk. But one entry caught Alara's breath. Cargo. 5,000 cryosuspended colonists. All dead upon impact. Cause, navigation failure, AI shutdown. Caleb looked at her. "Your family was part of this." She nodded, swallowing hard. They were supposed to restart the world. Caleb lowered his hat. And instead they became bones under the sand. She sat slowly, pain etched deep in her leg and her voice. "I lost everything. A fire burned our ranch 2 years back. My brother died fighting over a water right. I kept thinking, if I could find this place, maybe there'd be something left worth saving." Caleb watched her. There was steel in her sorrow. Strength buried beneath scars. You found more than you came for, he said. So did you. Chapter 5. The Bounty on Her Head. That night, camped inside the ancient ship, Caleb confessed something he'd never said aloud. There's a price on me, he muttered. Dead or alive. Used to ride with a crew that did bad things. Tried to make up for it after, but men like me don't get second chances. Ilara didn't flinch. You turned your back on it. That matters. I don't know if redemption works that way. She looked at him with those burning blue eyes. Maybe it does. Maybe it doesn't. But you're here, helping someone you don't even know. That's not nothing. Silence settled like dust. And in that silence, something old and tender sparked between them, like water returning to a long dry well. Chapter 6. Ambush at Dawn. They didn't see the raiders until it was too late. A rival bounty gang had trailed Caleb's horse tracks into the desert. 5 men, rifles drawn, eyes gleaming with bloodlust. You always had a way of leading us to gold, Langston, growled a scarred man named Brett Clay. And this little treasure ship. Worth more than any bounty. Caleb stepped forward, pistol ready. You touch her, I'll put you down. Brett sneered. You can try. Gunfire erupted. Caleb dropped one with a clean shot. Ilara limped to the ship and triggered the ramp to rise, shielding herself behind the hull as bullets sparked off the alien metal. But Caleb was outgunned. A shot hit his shoulder. He fell hard, blood soaking into the dust. Ilara screamed his name. Then the ship woke up. Chapter 7. Vengeance of the Stars. The ship responded to Ilara's voice and pain like it remembered what it was made for. Threat detected, it whispered. Panels lit. A turret unfolded from beneath the hull with a sound like steel being born. A pulse of searing light shot through the air, and the remaining raiders vanished in a blast of blue fire and scorched wind. Ilara crawled to Caleb's side, hands shaking. You're gonna be all right, she whispered, pressing cloth to the wound. He coughed. Hell of a woman, you are. You're not dying. Not yet. The ship opened its hull, and the Ari's voice rang out again. Medical bay active. Please bring the injured inside. Chapter 8. Second sunrise. Days passed in silence. Caleb slept inside the medical chamber of a ship older than anything left on Earth. The AI repaired tissue and filtered infection. Ilara sat nearby, watching over him, whispering stories from her childhood, of stars her grandfather used to name, of horses and heartbreak and hope. When Caleb woke, her hand was in his. You stayed, he murmured. Course I did. He looked into her face. There were no lies there. No debts. Just a woman who'd been broken and chose to stand anyway. Thank you, he whispered. For what? For saving me. For believing I could be more than a name on a wanted poster. Chapter 9. The ship's last gift. The ship's core was dying. Whatever ancient power had stirred was fading fast. But it had one last miracle to give. Ilara found a panel deep in the control room. A registry of supplies, instructions for self-sustaining homesteads. Seeds preserved for centuries. Tools that never rusted. Maps of water deep underground. Everything they needed to rebuild. We could leave, she said one night, looking out over the starlit desert. Take this and disappear to the north. Caleb looked at her, truly seeing her for the first time. Not as a wounded woman, not as a lost soul, but as the one thing he never believed he could have. A partner. No, he said. We don't run anymore. We build.